Hey, this is Notser, and I just decided to record this replay that I had off stream because the game ended up being so great. Now you can see the matchup. There's an aircraft carrier, a super battleship per side, 5 cruisers, 2 destroyers, and 4 total battleships, with the variety of super to tier 9. So it's a good mix at this particular tier. As far as the build that I'm using on this is actually a tank build. This is not a secondary build. So I have the slot 3 enhanced accuracy module. I have taken all of the tanky skills, not necessarily the secondary skills for the battleship commander. So we're going to see how this match works out on Haven. So we spawned on the northeast side of our team. This particular spawn point means that I have the most opportunity to affect C point and anyone who is going after it. So because of that, I'm going to attempt to try and contest C. This is a really good thing for players to get in the habit of. Don't necessarily sail around the match to find the perfect camp position that you've always used in every single game on this particular map. That's going to waste a lot of time, and it's not going to do what your team needs. And in this situation, my team just needs something heavy that the enemy can shoot at. They won't particularly mind it. So as we're moving up, friendly aircraft carrier midway, he does a little air scout. We've got the enemy aircraft carrier, the Richthofen is German. He's harassing my team in the south. He's also contesting B point. So we kind of have both the aircraft carriers not really having any resistance on the flank that they've chosen to effect. My friendly aircraft carrier sends his fighter, though, over towards B point, maybe to contest the anti-air situation. Maybe he's going to drop a fighter to pull the Richthofen out, or he's just trying to get a global spot. Obviously, he's getting a global spot, so I'm looking for targets. I choose to use my spotting aircraft. It's a great tool to get you extra range and obviously looking over islands, but I'm not going to take a bad shot, and I know that this island chain on Haven, especially with the tall cliff face, it's going to be difficult to land over them. Friendly Alaska B, for whatever reason, is going towards C point, and now the enemy actually is contesting B point. I think it's probably that Shima that was last spotted on the west side of B. I don't really have a good way to assist C point, so I'm going to try and fire beyond C to move any cruiser or battleship out so they can't help contest C point. Although I don't think that we're going to take C because we don't have either of the DDs that have chosen to help capture it. So that means that one of the DDs decided to not go on this flank and work towards C. Friendly Alaska is taking the Richthofen's attention, so C's being contested. Now I'm moving up. Marceau gives me a good spot around this island, so I don't feel completely uncomfortable by what's about to happen. Plus, on top of that, we have 2 of the DDs on the enemy team. Both of them are spotted, and I know for a fact there's not a torpedo boat on this flank. That is the primary unlocking mechanism for this match for me. Once I recognized that there wasn't any torpedo boats anywhere close, the only torpedo boat, quote unquote, is the aircraft carrier, then there's nothing to stop a German battleship like this in moving up and contesting against this light cruiser, which of course he has to stay at range if he wants to hope to avoid the 457, which would easily damage him and citadel him if he weren't actively dodging. Enemy Marco, he's clearly distracted by the other side of the flank, which they were successful in capturing B point. That means the Shima probably will transition somewhere outside of B, so we want to be a little bit hesitant with our move towards that area. The Groningen doesn't have torpedoes again, so I don't feel any hesitancy in getting close to him. He can't affect me in any meaningful way. Enemy aircraft carrier can affect me, and the Seattle potentially. But we're getting good, decent damage on the Seattle, and we're keeping him back, which is, helping our Marceau potentially capture C point. Now that, of course, their move back enough that it could potentially happen. Friendly aircraft carrier helped with an aircraft fighter at sea point. And it looks like the enemy team has moved up on the B side, up to that island chain that's just southwest of B. Friendly Missouri has also attempted this maneuver, but he didn't have any support. He didn't have any torpedo boats to slow down the Vermont or the Devastation, that super battleship. Friendly Alexander Nevsky is decided to move up the flank and help us out. We know that the Groningen is right on the other side of the island, and we know he's harassing the Marceau, because the Marceau is obviously spotted. Enemy aircraft carrier is doing a great job for his team in using his aircraft to not only spot, but assist in the kill of the Marceau. Gosh, that's a tough one. We're down 2 ships at this point, a battleship and a destroyer, both key targets to not have a deficit on. It's tough, though, because at this point, I'm over here going, okay, well, they don't have C point. B point is already theirs. My team is kind of getting stalled out on the south side. We just lost the Missouri. That enemy Vermont may also fall, but not without taking out. So we've got to make a play at this point. So I decide, what can Germans do well that others cannot? Well, we can push. And along with the friendly radar, great timing, by the way, he activates his radar at a perfect window where we're activating our assault. So we start moving up, notice that the Groningen's pretty low, so we're going to throw a shell at him, force him to commit to dodging our shell, and teammates able to follow up with that. Now, the Shimakaze obviously is revealed in the worst ways possible. I'm sure this is absolutely the worst time for him for radar. And I have my Hydro up, which do not want to forget to activate. But by activating it, we've sealed his fate. Now, I could easily go broadside, because there is an aircraft carrier wanting to attack me with his torpedo. But aircraft-launched torpedoes are far weaker than the Shima torpedoes, so that's the real avoidance right there, which we're able to knock him out before potentially torpedoes were dropped in the water, because Hydro. Now, I know I won't capture C point, but a friendly DD will absolutely be able to, and he's on approach to C right now, so we're going to try and affect the match, and one of the ways we can is preventing this Petropavlovsk from pushing up. Now we get a perfect, beautiful broadside fire at the waterline, and we just do 35,000, not 3,500, 35,000 points of damage on his broadside. Easily followed up with another salvo, or friendlies take him out. Friendlies take him out. Good. Friendly Yamato. So, we're keeping it close. Obviously, I know I'm not going to capture the base. I'm just basically absorbing aircraft attacks. We're looking for potential enemies. 3 of the enemies are hiding behind the island chain on the west side of B. Not really a good target. Marco Polo just also went into cover over there. The Seattle and the Richthofen are the 2 targets that are lastly closest, but the last known position could be out of date. Now, we're able to actually shoot down the remaining aircraft squadron and drop off detection, which is hilarious, and our team is capable of capturing the base, and we finally normalize it after losing 50% of the points to them. And what's with Petropavlovsk going broadside? We get a 10,000 on his side. Not Citadel, but we do a lot of damage that he's going to feel, and it's going to affect him. And we're in a good broadside position in some of these salvos. So I'm going to just follow up with the Burgon, and I note that the enemy Seattle has decided to come back and affect the Alexander Nevsky. This is a great battleship moment because he thinks that my attention is elsewhere, but I have the gun traverse to just turn it and face it on him and force him to address me, which he wasn't ready to, and he's going to take a nice clean broadside. Hopefully we get a Citadel here. Of course, we get the German dispersion there. Far and short, all over pin. That's okay, we just needed one. We'll get another one. And it looks like we'll be able to fire over the island conveniently and Of course, I have my squadron up. We're getting real good dispersion on that one. I would be shocked if that's not a kill. Yes! 18,000. See you later, Seattle. Awesome, awesome, awesome moment there. Because we could have easily just kept sailing in this direction and forgotten the Alexander Nevsky. But the nice thing about battleships is, though I may be moving in one direction, I can still fire back and assist. And whenever an enemy gets caught out like that, it's the perfect moment. And we might get a perfect moment here. This Petro, ooh, he's got his engines knocked out. Friendly Siegfried is literally about to die. Friendly aircraft carrier actually assaults him. And, ooh, Siegfried gets a good shot on him. And I notice this, and friendlies call out, and we have to take a shot. If he's under 5 or 10, definitely going to traverse my guns just to fire on him, even if we had a broadside Burgon. We just need a shell or two to land, and we knock him out. He could have easily dropped off detection and been who knows where. So it's a nice little pickup there, but we're still not done. Now, we actually have more kills than the enemy, but they've had 2 bases for so much longer, we still are behind on points. So, friendly ZF6 is going to head over towards B point. He's going to capture the base. Good job, Cywar. I don't really have a good shot on either the Hindenburg or Devastation, and obviously Richthofen's not spotted, so we're just going to fire on cooldown on the Marco Polo while moving towards the islands. Now, the reason I'm moving towards the islands and not staying back or anything like that, I have the tanking, brawling advantage. There's not a single ship in this game that is better at it than me. So, of course, I'm going to force them to have to brawl. And in order to do that, I have to move towards them. And the best way to do that as a German, of course, use cover, and the islands are cover. Now, Richthofen plus the Marco Polo were successful in finally finishing off Alexander Nevsky. It's a tough loss, but it may lead to a kill here, because Marco made a big critical mistake here. Broadside and also just a wasted of salvo. We get decent dispersion. 6,000. Could be worse. So 6,000, and I'm actually in cover because I have moved so close to this island that the enemy Reds love to use as a defensive position. I can use it as a defensive position too. And I just need to make it a 1 versus 1, or hopefully a 2 versus 1 in my favor. And we get this fish paper actually located on his shell, on his main battery gun turret. But it doesn't go in for any measurable amount of damage. Enemy aircraft carrier on approach is the AP bomb. I just need to be perpendicular and not parallel to his course, and that's really the best I can hope for. And he knocks out my steering, but I do have 5 seconds left on my damage control. The Marco Polo, he's in a bad spot. Just fire at the guns, and he's going to drag the AP into his middle section, and he'll be gone. This does mean that we will either take the torpedoes, because we won't be able to actively maneuver, or we activate damage control. I chose to just absorb it, because most likely he will drop it too close. He's not a super Unicum Richthofen. He's not a terrible Richthofen, but he's not a super Unicum. A super Unicum never misses a single attack and always does maximum damage. Thankfully, he wasn't that for these attacks, and he's actually lost so much that the squadrons won't really survive to get to my position. And this is a great position. I can use the same position that the enemy on Haven always uses against them mid to late game, and we're just working down a target one by one. The best thing that you can do with numbers is use them. The worst thing you can do with numbers is go in one at a time. And that's what the aircraft carrier is doing. That is what the Marco Polo was doing. And potentially the Hindenburg is coming back to prevent me from affecting the aircraft carrier, because he did decide to move up so he could get a faster drop. Not the best, I think. I know they're desperate to kill me, because I am contributing a lot to my team. but it's also putting yourself at risk. What if, and I would never suggest this, what if your teammates don't actually do what they're supposed to do? I know. Unheard of in World of Warships. And 18,000. Who needs a Citadel if you get 18,000 on a broadside? But we're still taking damage. Devastation's kind of annoyed by me, but he also has to deal with the DD that's right next to him. So I just have to accept the outcome. Not the best dispersion, but we did get one shell for pin damage instead of overpin. So nearly 5,000. Friendly aircraft carriers sending on approach. This is the only reason I'm really detecting this guy, and in order to avoid the aircraft carrier, he actually sets up a perfect broadside for us. So this is the mistake that he's making that I refused to make, and it might cost him, and yes! Kraken unleashed. And he needed to respect my guns more than the friendly aircraft carrier squadron that was attacking him. Now there's just 2 left, and we've got 3 bases, and we've actually had 3 bases for a really long time now. So we've got more than enough points for me to throw away my life. So this is another part of this. I just love pushing as hard and as fast as I can in a big brawler like this, because it's just overwhelming. And we're always aiming for under the guns. We want to incapacitate the battleship guns so that they cannot return fire as easily, and they must choose to use damage control to counter that. Enemy aircraft carrier does a good, decent attack. However, he is low, and I have turret traversers. So, of course, I'm going to go after him rather than deal with a devastator. And we missed just slightly, but Friendly follows up and finishes it off. All that's left is the devastation. Enemy aircraft carrier squadron's about to drop. There's probably 10 seconds left in the match. He fires his high explosive because that's all he knows how to fire. When in this scenario, AP would have been better. Probably would have killed me. But it doesn't matter, because we just crushed that match, and it was absolutely spectacular. And I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this throwback game. In the Preussen, we've got 2 million credits. We got A defense, Confederate, high caliber, Kraken unleashed, 211,000 damage, 5 kills, 2 base captures, 47 aircraft shot down. Just across the board helped that team. 3,496 base XP, nearly 3,500 base XP. A monster game, and one that we actually needed to be because the enemy team was on track to win it. And absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for tuning into this game. A little bit of a throwback, but I had to share it. It was just so spectacular after I made my video for the day. Thank you so much for tuning into the content. If you enjoy it, please like the video. Also subscribe to my channel for more similar style content. Thanks again, and I'll catch you on the next one.